We are back and recording in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Welcome to the Restoration Group podcast, where we are sometimes silly, but always serious about investing in Oklahoma City leaders who desire to integrate their Christian faith into their business. I am your host, Clay Steves. Today, I am joined by my co-host, Aaron Scott, and our dear friend, Dr. Lisa. I'm already going to Oklahomify this, so I'm apologizing ahead of time, and she'll correct me. Dr. Lisa Urrutia. Lisa, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Okay, can you give me like a say it right so that I don't, say it right for our listeners, please. How do we say your last name?
Urrutia.
Urrutia. Yeah, I put it in Italian. It is so fancy, isn't it?
You're supposed to, but it's in Oklahoma. We don't have to roll the R's.
That's right, America. We're gonna do some Oklahoma around here. America. That's right. Okay, formal bio, and then we'll jump in. Dr. Lisa obtained her Doctor of Chiropractic degree from Parker College of Chiropractic in January of 2000. She opened a practice in Edmond that same year and loved helping patients under her care achieve improved health. In 2007, she transitioned and was called to serve in the local church and enjoyed numerous roles focusing on small group ministry, missions, and finance. And now she has returned to serving the community through chiropractic care. Having been a patient of and benefiting from chiropractic care through most of her life, Dr. Lisa made the decision while attending undergraduate school to pursue this profession to help others achieve the same quality of life she has enjoyed herself. She is married to her loving husband, Michael. They have two amazing kids, a son-in-law, and one beautiful granddaughter. They are a proud military family working to simplify life. They enjoy spending time with their family and close friends, cooking, and traveling to new places. Lisa, thanks for joining us today.
Absolutely. We have another grandbaby on the way.
Well, come on now. Little update to the bio. Yeah, congratulations.
She's doing 13 days. Boy or girl, we don't know. We'll find out whenever she arrives or he arrives. So.
But you're not leaning one way when she arrives. Yeah, okay.
We'll know soon.
Okay, Lisa, tell us about your business.
Okay. I have a small Christ-centered chiropractic office in Edmond, Oklahoma, near Mitch Park. And our sole purpose is to encourage basically living the connected life. And what that means for us here in the office and why we chose that name is so that people can understand the unity of living a connected life of body, mind, and spirit. And undertone of that is always that connection to the spiritual side, that sometimes people forget that they are a body created by their creator. And my hope is to help them reconnect to that. And that's hence why we named it Connected Lives. And all sorts of connections happen while people are here. Old friends meet, new friends meet. But ultimately, we see people and we meet them where they are. And our hope for them is that they're reconnected to the creator.
I love that. And yeah, in case anybody didn't catch that, your business is literally called Connected Life Chiropractic. And I love that you're really straightforward with that. You said undertone, and I guess technically something named Connected Life could be an undertone, but I feel like it's pretty clear, especially as soon as you look up your business online or on social media, or especially walk in the door. So how did you can you give our listeners a little backstory on how you got to where you are today, how you started this business?
You want the short, let's see.
Whichever version you prefer.
I don't know where to start. I mean, I don't know. I mean, the intro sums it up pretty well of the first practice and then called into ministry. And obviously during my time in ministry, towards the end of that, I felt a call again to come back. Through that whole time, it was about 12 years that I was not in private practice, but in full-time ministry. I kept my license. and did continuing ed on the side, but never knew for sure. I never had an inkling if I would go back. But during one of my husband's deployments, it was the 17-18 time frame, there was a stirring, which it seems like the Lord usually does that. If anybody relates to that military lifestyle, there's always something that happens during a deployment. Usually we call it the deployment monster, and it's usually something like the attic floods or the car breaks down or things like that. And some of those things did happen to us that time frame, but towards the end of that, I was having a pretty big stirring. I think I was in small groups and missions at the time on the team, and I was struggling pretty greatly inside, and I was needing to do more with my hands. I just didn't know it at the time because I just kind of dismissed, would I ever go back into practice? It's been too long, that kind of scenario. But as time went on and that deployment started to come to a close and Michael came home, it was very clear that the Lord was calling me back into practice. And the coolest part of that little reconnection is I jumped back into practice on a weekend, renewed my license back to active status, but joined a practice in Edmond back at the very location I opened up in 2000. And it was the original spot, original address, same phone number, just a different name on the door and on the wall. And so I think the Lord did that for me for closure. And I think he had to pull me all the way back around because I might not have never stepped out and said, okay, let's do it this way. But back in that space gave me some closure for some time in practice that brought me back to, okay, this is how the Lord wants me to practice. And this is the way he wants me to do it. So I wasn't there quite a year. And then we jumped out of that and opened up in the middle of the pandemic in June of 2020 and opened the doors here to Connected Lives. After my husband, of course, in his strategic ways, had us draw it out on a whiteboard. And we did. We drew out the plan. And then the Lord just opened up doors and moved mountains for us to be able to open up in what I would say record time, from this being the second time of opening a practice. We were up and running with a card table and an adjusting table. And we just started. And that's the short version, I guess, of where we are now. So
that's awesome.
I guess we're a couple months from 3 years in this location.
That's awesome. And I really love that you talked about like that stirring of like, you didn't know if you had it in you, but I am really encouraged by hearing like, it's never too late and it has never been too long. You know, if God's moving you to do something, it's never too late. It's never been too long. It's never like too much time has passed.
That's right. Yeah. We won't do math because I am closer to a larger number than the first practice, but I have reminded myself many times in this one that I am closer to another number than I was when I did it.
Another number. We won't say what it is. Our listeners don't need to guess in the comments. Don't do that.
Don't guess.
Don't guess. Just go with it. Clay, don't guess.
Deal. You said stirring at one point. You said, you felt a clear stirring, and that was when your husband was deployed. But also then a few, maybe paragraphs later, you talked about it being very clear that you were supposed to go back. So I think this would have been in your time while you were in full-time ministry at the church. What did that look like for you? Because I'm just trying to think of maybe there's somebody who's at their current job. Maybe there's somebody who works in ministry and they're feeling something, but they don't maybe know what to do with it or what it is. Like, what did stirring and it becoming very clear to you, like your experience, what was that? Yeah.
Okay. So the stirring was probably I don't want to use the word unhappiness, but that's the word that comes to mind as I'm in a role and I'm becoming a bit just not satisfied with the role or unhappy in it. Those are anyway. But then the clarity came when I knew for sure that what I was missing was the connection with the person of helping them find the healing that they're supposed to have on a one-on-one basis. I didn't have the opportunity to do that. And that's what was missing, is what the Lord has gifted me with to help somebody find that path of healing for them. I wasn't doing that in the current role that I was in at that time.
That's good. I've heard, so I want to active listen, Lisa, and I just want to make sure I'm picking that up, because I think that's really helpful and insightful what you talked about, to where almost something that was good, like the work you were doing at that time, like it was good work, very meaningful for God work, whether at a job, whether at a church, like very meaningful, but almost like something you'd love the taste of, a meal. All of a sudden you ate it again and it was like, I just don't love the taste of it anymore. And that's how I've heard someone else describe when they were making a transition. Like, I was doing work that is awesome, but all of a sudden I just didn't find the joy and the richness in said work anymore. Was kind of what the stirring part that you talked about. Would that be an accurate active listen?
Yeah, almost like you lost a little bit of that fire to do it, to keep doing it that way, or you don't feel that you're the best one for it any longer.
That's good.
Yeah.
How would you encourage one of our listeners or viewers who hears you say that and is like, yes, that's how I feel right now? How would you encourage them to process that and maybe move towards the next thing, which was you getting the clarity you described of like getting my hands on one-on-one for you? How would you encourage them to move maybe from one to the next?
I'd say obviously prayer first, get quiet, figure out how you connect with him the most, or how you can hear with him the most, space in that, and having at least one person that can hear the ultimate stripped down truth of what you're feeling, so that there can be some truth spoken into that, whether you're just being a crappy employee, or are you just really feeling the ignite gone out of your spirit? Like, is it time to move on? And so within ministry, people talk about it all the time. You got to have the right seat, right people on the bus, or are you in the right seat on the bus? And so I'll use that same thing, is like really digging through, are you on the right seat, or are you out of the bus altogether? And I think I was off the bus. I think I'd come to the time where I was off the bus.
I think that takes an extraordinary amount of humility and self-awareness to get to that place. And even you mentioned it a minute ago of maybe I'm not the best person for this role at this time. And I think that's so counterculture to even within the church world. I think it's very counterculture to the norm of, well, if I just try harder, if I just do more, if I just, reframe this, if, all these things, but it's all focused on, if I do this, then maybe I can continue to be the best fit or excelling in this role, or whatever that looks like. But what I hear you saying is taking a posture of humility to say, it's not about what I can do, but it's about, okay, what is God stirring in me right now that maybe has nothing to do with my capacity, my ability, anything like that. So that's really incredible.
Yeah. Well, and I will say that it's not an easy process.
It seemed so simple when you spelled it out.
Clean.
Yeah.
I mean,
1, 2, 3, done.
Yeah.
It was probably a good 9-month process of uncertainty and
good share
and trying to figure that out. And when you're in ministry, any ministry, I would assume, hopes that they hold themselves to the standard of, we are the best place, and you can do so much here. But that can be also a lie that can really feed someone from where they're really supposed to be, because the Lord works in walls, not just the church or a ministry. Ministry looks different everywhere, right?
Yeah.
We can have a ministry everywhere. And so if somebody's trying to figure out that transition, really, really getting quiet with that of, am I finding my identity in a place I shouldn't?
Yikes.
Keeping me in a role that I shouldn't stay. And can I continue to move forward to really get to where I'm supposed to be? Does that make sense? Like, I don't think I said that clear enough.
Oh, I think you're articulating it fantastically, Lisa. Thank you. Like, just the getting quiet. That's what I heard even back to the beginning of that answer, that getting quiet, being present to God, having someone in your life that you can share the like raw, authentic, like the full mess. And again, that's not like for the world, but like you need to have someone that you can bring your full mess to process that, in addition to at the same time being still and quiet with God to process it and share all of that. You said we can have that ministry anywhere. Okay. So I want to use that just as a segue point to now talk about your business, right? Because I'm clearly picking up, and then even from in the conversation, and then even like a quick personal story, listeners and viewers, I've never had a chiropractic journey until now, thanks to Dr. Lisa. I've never been to a chiropractor. Once we booked this episode, I was like, you know what? I want to go experience this because I want to go see what this is about from a medical standpoint, and from the fact that it was very clear on your branding, your messaging, and Aaron's word, which I trust, that you were integrating your Christian faith. So the first day there, Dr. Lisa, you had us take x-rays. I don't know if you do this with all patients. I'm just going to talk about my experience. And they take this big x-ray machine and it like scrolls up and blocks my view. And so if you're watching the video, you can see like the x-ray machine's in front of my face. I don't even know if she knows where I'm going with this. So they take the first x-ray, they're doing like the C-spine, which is your neck area. And then the machine moves down. And the moment the machine moves out of my way, boom, there's like literally a Bible verse in this little window where the tech goes to take the x-rays and get away from the radiation. There's this Bible verse right in my line of sight. And I start reading it. And there was just this element of like, oh, you feel welcome. You feel safe in what it could be a scary thing. If you've never been on this journey before, where you're in pain, potentially, where life has been taken from you in some ways, and you are coming to, and you just subtly and gently, so I say subtly, but it's overtly and subtle at the same time. It's receivable. Continue to have your faith at the forefront at your business. So how does your Christian faith specifically, Lisa, influence the way you practice chiropractic care? Sorry if I got you.
You did. The theme lately with people is I'm reminding them they're in a safe place. So when you said that, it's just been who he's brought through the door lately. They need to know they're in a safe place for whatever it is they're carrying. And so when you said that, it just kind of got me. I don't even remember your question now.
Okay. That's okay. That's why we do this. That's why we're in it together, right? That's the journey. Yeah. How does your Christian faith specifically influence how you practice chiropractic care? Yeah. Yeah.
A little bit of the same answer. Well, our office verse is Matthew 5:16. And
you have an office verse. I think that's
I was
awesome.
about to say, that's
I didn't mean to interrupt you, but that's so cool. Okay, go
ahead. We have a driving verse for the office, and it is Matthew 5:16. And the reason why is because I take what I do as a chiropractor, which could just be simply, I don't like this terminology, so hopefully I don't offend anybody out there, but I don't just crack bones. Eggs are to be cracked, not bones. So that's not just what I do. The idea behind Matthew 5:16 is that I get to see the light in other people, and I get to encourage them to continue to shine. And in that, it's whether pain brings them in the door or not, because some people actually do see the value in living a fully connected life, and they use chiropractic as part of their wellness lifestyle. And it's still the same starting point for them is I get to hold that hope and that view of their light until they're ready to see it. And then they get to, my whole purpose and my whole hope is that I get to equip and empower people and continue to encourage them to be that light that they are. And whether they believe that that is from our Creator, from Jesus, or not, I think eventually I get to plant that seed and they get to continue to hear that, whether I get to see that fruit or not. I get to stand on that for them. We have a prayer box on the front desk. It is there. It is visible. People know they can drop prayers in there. It's been there almost since day one. Those are little ways that I integrate it in, obviously. There's other ways I do. We can talk about those if they come up, but
you said those are little ways. I would respectfully disagree. I think those are really big, overt ways. And again, I want to be clear for all listeners that integrating your faith into your business can look like a million different things. So you don't have to have a prayer box to be integrating your faith into your business. But I don't want to sell short that that's a really big deal, Lisa. Like that's very, very out there, making sure that people know who you are and what you stand for literally from the second they walk in the door. Because I know it's right there on the front desk that you can see as soon as you walk in. And so that's don't sell yourself short there. That's a really big deal.
Yeah. And there's some sweet prayers in there too.
And Lisa, that's I think what's tying a couple things together, I think that's an incredibly safe way to be able to allow people to come engage and allow you to pray for them and care for them in a holistic way, in a connected way, which I know you're passionate about all these elements, because overtly, like even asking someone to pray for them, even like putting that can be hard for some people to receive from their own journey. And the fact that you have it present, it is visible, but it is not like I haven't put a prayer into that box yet. I'll just objectively say that, but I've experienced your safe space and the willingness to be, if I did, I know you would. Like, I know you would bring that and it would be a safe spot. I just think that's a great practical example that you guys have done about how to integrate.
Yeah.
In the same way, let your light shine before others so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father who is in heaven. Yeah.
That's it.
516. Yeah. How do you staying specifically on your practice, how do you structure it so that patients feel like a person, not just a number, right? Because I'll admit, even when I'm there, sometimes we have quick appointments, right? So like experientially, we don't spend an hour together. It's not like a level 4 full time, something like it's a quick interaction and you have multiple people there. How do you, again, specifically through your lens of how you're bringing your Christian faith into it, how do you structure your practice to ensure patients feel like a person, not a number?
It starts with the intake paperwork. It starts with what I'm trying to learn about the person. I do ask some probably questions unrelated to why they think they might see a chiropractor. And that's okay, because it helps me frame some questions or frame some conversations that I want to have. And sometimes that comes around to, what does your spiritual community look like? Because if people are lonely and they are on the other side of their conversation with me on an intake day, if they're lonely, but they have, we'll just say, shoulder pain or neck pain, but what else is driving some of that emotion? What's the emotional component that is helping some people? And if I ever have the opportunity in that first visit to start that conversation, it usually ends with people recognizing a deficit in something that they're missing, but then there's that welcome of, I'm in the right place. It is usually relayed to me in different ways that they know that they have found the right place for them to be seen and be heard. We, as a team, I do have 2 assistants that work here in the mornings. One is usually in the back doing some things, and then I have one in the front. And they know without a doubt that it's always that person over everything else that's happening in the office, that the people that are there are first priority over the phone ringing, over the mail being delivered or anything. That person is the first person. And it's not uncommon for me to hear them say, do you want a hug? Or I can hold the baby, or let me pray for you and we will pray for you. And in an encouragement that just trickles through for people to rise up and be strong in who they are. The girls do that and I can hear them through the door. I know that. So it kind of starts in that way that we know their names. We have a celebration board in the back office that when I hear someone say, like I have somebody graduating graduate school, and then I have somebody else doing a new business, or somebody in just one state at swim. I'll remember those things and we put it on a celebration board in the back office for us to remember the goodness of what people are also celebrating. And that's another way that I think I feel like people feel a little bit more known and not just a number, even though you're right, Clay, we can move some people through here pretty quickly in the busy times after school or just before we close, first thing in the morning, people on the way to work. And that's the beauty of being able to do some of that. But I try to know who they are and I try to know what's important to them. And we take opportunities to bring that back up. And if anybody knows me personally that's listening, they know how I feel about handwritten cards. And so you've received more than one from me probably in a period of time. And it's its own ministry in our office. And like it's just its own thing. And I will send them randomly if somebody says something. Or I'll sit down at the end of the week and ask the Lord who needs a card this week. And sometimes it doesn't happen. I'm still a business owner. I'm still a human being. And I still have a family and a dog and other things that I have to take care of. But I try really hard to make that a weekly practice of asking who needs some encouragement today. And we'll send those cards. And I mean, that's another little ministry, I guess, inside there of making that person not feel like a number.
Well, I want to jump in and speak from personal experience. And just so all of our audience knows, this is not a paid ad. So this is real life personal experience because I want to vouch for everything that Lisa just said. Excuse me. First of all, it's really just who she is. Like since I've known her, we worked in ministry together. That's where we met. And now it's a joy can I still call you my chiropractor, even though I haven't been in like a year? It's a joy.
That's the statute of limits. 1 year is the statute of limits. I'm sorry, Aaron. I will be there.
But I have experienced everything that, man, and I love that you highlighted caring about people, knowing your people, and not just your employees, but your clients, that you work hard and you don't just let it kind of happen, like it happens or it doesn't. You have intentional systems, let's call them, to make sure that you're doing that. Like your celebration board in the back, that's incredible. Yes. And that made my mind start stirring on, okay, what does that look like for another small business to do? Maybe it looks a little different for them. But I love the intentionality that you're not just going to leave it up to chance or leave it up to like, I hope I remember this. I hope I get around to it. You're making an intentional effort to meet people where they are and to know them. And I'm talking a lot, but I want to quickly, again, just share my personal experience is even like Clay pointed out in sometimes what's like a pretty quick visit, like Lisa has, like I have sat in her office and like talked about like Lisa has been my chiropractor through some pretty hard and interesting and, rocky times in my life. Oh. And I won't go too far down this rabbit trail, but she is the chiropractor for like several members of my family, including like I have a blended family. And so like the fact that she is like a personal part of our family. But I think that speaks again to the safe place that she has created, that we all feel comfortable with that and comfortable with her. And I really want to point out, like, I can remember as you were talking through that, Lisa, like, I can remember times that I come in and, like, there have been so many times that I come in, and she knows this, I wait until it's way too long. It's like, okay, I can only look this way, but I can't look any further to the left at all. And she's like, Erin, you have to come in sooner than this. But instead of just like, okay, lay down, like, doing some stuff, there are always questions. And it's like, again, she has taken the time to know me and my family, and she'll ask questions like, okay, how are the boys sleeping? And it's like, not well, like no one sleeps ever, And she's like, okay, that's probably part of this. Like, okay, how's work going? Like, how are things like with your family? Like, again, trying to get to the root of the problem, not just trying to put a Band-Aid on the issue. And when I say root of the problem, I mean both in the physical sense of, okay, what's causing this physically, but even deeper and more importantly, like the root of the problem, that we are all human and broken and need God. And I think you work really hard to connect those dots on a way that's most comfortable for people. So I've just said way too much, but it's just because I literally can't speak highly enough of you as a person and your character and your practice. But I think there's so much wisdom there to glean for business owners on whatever level they feel comfortable to integrate their faith and whatever their business is. There's so much wisdom from all the things that you just pointed out.
Yeah.
And the beauty, Lisa, for me, is you gave, just in sharing all of that, right? Because Erin's given you her personal like stamp, and her testimony really is what it is. Her experience as to you walking the journey with her, the connected journey. So clearly you're treating chiropractically, but it's the full connected, holistic, like with a W, holistic of Erin's life that you're caring for. But you also shared like 4 practical, and they're not huge things, that help facilitate your awareness, that help facilitate your ability to love people well, right? There's the prayer box, the intake paperwork, which is like literally you don't think about it as a systemic thing, but it actually equips you to then care about people well. Because you talked about the celebration board in the back. You talked about handwritten cards. These are just the none of those are massive time-consuming things for you, but they're very intentional, and they give you very pertinent personal information. And I experienced that when I went to the bathroom at your place. And yeah, you got that, listener. That's right. I'm talking about the bathroom.
Maybe too much information.
No. Just stay with me. No. Stay with me. And I walk in, and there's a baby changing table, and not one of the plastic ones that you see at a gas station. You flip down. Like, it is a nice one, because a lot of your patients and a lot of people that you care for have little babies, or you're caring. And for you, you're facilitating loving people in the season they're in, and it's just a safe spot. And I walked in, I'm like, oh, that's really thoughtful. Like, that's just a way, like, so again, very subtle ways that, and all of that you've done a great job articulating, is an overflow of your faith. That's you integrating that holistic, connected piece at your business, like at your for-profit business. So I just, that was, what'd you say?
Details. They matter.
The details. They do matter. They do. All righty, take us.
Well, I want to ask one more question as we kind of end our time, and it's taking a little bit of a different turn, but I'm just curious to hear from you, and especially for our listeners who might relate to your journey in giving something a second try. What would you advise someone on, or because this is the second time you've gone into chiropractic care, what have you done differently this time that you maybe learned along the way?
I actually talked to my husband about this morning, because I was like, I'm not really sure. I feel like I've done everything different the second time around. But maybe I haven't, because there's still a core dream inside of me that was there in 2000. And so I'm getting to see that play out now. It's still a faith risk no matter what, whether it's the first time or the second time.
Sure.
I do feel like this was a faith risk for us in jumping out a second time. the biggest thing probably that has been different is that intentional recognition of the faith that I need, that intertwines through running a business, period. But leaning on that more. And I know that that's from the maturity that I gained through working in ministry for that decade worth of time. I was able to pull from those experiences of being in ministry to be able to root myself in just knowing that he goes before me and he's going to cover the path, and he will cover it. Like, I don't know if that answers it well enough, but I mean, the first time, from a practical standpoint, first time I went to the bank, I got a loan. This time, Mike and I cashed out a 401k and we opened up with our own money and said, we're just going to go for it. And so we didn't have a conventional bank backing us up. We put our savings into opening our practice. So that's very different. Very different also is I have a husband who supports me 180,000%. Anybody could support me more. I don't know who they are, but that's different this time around. And just the sheer, like, I have to just give credit to God on just leaning on him, trusting him that he has called me to this. And I know that he has, and just leaning into that probably more than I did the first time. Because if we back up to 2006, when I sold that practice, I knew that I heard his voice audibly say, it's time to sell it. I was serving in kids ministry. I was in the service, and I heard him tell me to sell it, and I sold it in record time. But I knew, right? It's that calling of standing in the trust of that calling that I know that I know that I know. I think that's different than the first time I opened the doors to the practice. I was also younger.
But you look exactly the same. You haven't aged at all, so it doesn't matter. But what I'm hearing, the thing that really stood out to me was just that, really that you can't take any shortcuts to get where you are right now. So like you're enjoying the fruit of what's happening right now, not because anything you did prior was wrong or was bad or incorrect, but because you needed those things along the way, and you needed to step out and step back in, and you needed the life experience and all the things. And I think that's it feels so obvious, but I think it's so easy for us to forget that we need that journey to be where we are.
That's really good. Yeah. Very
Thank you.
Yeah. Very well said. Yeah.
Listen, I got like stamp of approval from Lisa. Let's just end this episode because I feel pretty great right now.
Aaron's like, and we're out. And we're done.
Yeah, before something else goes downhill or I say something else awkward, we're just,
Just mute yourself. It's fine. It's good. It's a safe play. Safe play. Lisa, thank you. Thanks for sharing so much with us today. Do you have any final thoughts about your business, about connected life, like in general, or just anything else that's on your heart that you would want to share with us and our listeners and viewers today?
Well, obviously the plug for the business would be anybody from the womb to the tomb I'm willing to see.
Come on now, the womb to the tomb.
So, yeah, I mean, I take care of everybody, but that's really not what I want to say. I would really encourage anybody listening that the Lord has paved the path for what he's put on their heart. And I think if people spend their time listening to podcasts and listening to leadership podcasts and things that they're trying to improve themselves, upon whatever they're doing, I think the culture that we live in today is very busy. I think if people can get quiet enough, and I know I say that a lot, but
that's good.
If people get quiet enough to remember the dream that he put in their heart, and find those people beside them that are already beside them that can lift them up and push them forward. I think that anybody looking to transition or anybody in a business that wants to incorporate their faith in it is they just have to trust that he will make it clear and that he will make the people see their love, whether they feel like they do a good job at it or not. I'm living proof of that, because I don't always think what I say or what I do lands in the way that presents love to that person, but I have to just trust that he knows and he will reveal to them what he needs to reveal to them, whether it be in the word or the conversation or the 3-minute adjustment, and they're in and they're out, because we believe the adjustment starts the moment they walk in the door. It's not just when they lay on the table. And so it's an encouragement to businesses to look at that from the standpoint of, what do people see when they walk in the door? What do they smell? I know that's odd. However, we have more people comment on how good the office smells and how nice it smells and how much it matters that it smells. And I'm just like, who knew? And so, but it's good feedback for the husband, because we buy oils and it costs money to buy oils. And so he lets me buy oils. So I think all that stuff matters, and can be a good way for people to just look at, how do they want someone to feel in their business? How do they want someone to be seen or be heard in their business? And it is different for me here, for the smoothie shop across the street. It's all different, but I think that that's why the Lord is the way he is he shows up for everyone in the way that they need it. And I think we are an extension of that as business owners who can do that and be an avenue for him. That is clear.
That great closing thought, Lisa. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing it. Thank you for joining us today and sharing your story and your wisdom that you have you've earned, and then God has graciously given you over the years. We're not going to say how many, and I'm not guessing, so don't get me in trouble. But the years of owning multiple businesses here in Oklahoma City.
Thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you. And our verse for the episode that I'd sent ahead of time to both of us, the inspiration comes from 1 Corinthians 12, and we'll read it to close out the episode. For the body does not consist of one member, but of many. If the foot should say, because I'm not a hand, I do not belong to the body, that would not make it any less a part of the body. And if the ear should say, because I am not an eye, I do not belong to the body, that would not make it any less a part of the body. If the whole body were an eye, where would be the sense of hearing? If the whole body were an ear, where would be the sense of smell? But as it is, God arranged the members in the body, each one of them as he chose. If all were a single member, where would the body be? As it is, there are many parts, yet one body. Yet one body. One body. Listeners, viewers, thank you for joining us today. We look forward to being together next week. And until then, choose life. Thanks for tuning into our show. If you want to learn more about how you can integrate your faith into your business, download our integrated business guide for free by clicking the link in the show notes below. Thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you next time.